What distinguishes leaders from followers in the management of globally dispersed innovation?
I think that in terms of globally dispersed innovation, leaders are always going to be companies, organizations, or indeed individuals who understand the cultural diversity that they're trying to address in their customer base. So by moving people around the globe and allowing for the serendipitous coalescence of ideas coming from different cultural backgrounds, leaders are able to bring innovative solutions more quickly that are culturally relevant to the markets that they're trying to address. The followers tend to try to work along a much more a traditional rail track approach, which says, I have some innovation requirements somewhere else, and then trying to address that through a geographically dispersed location. So you get this much slower process of understanding of what the real problem is, and that problem within context. Whereas if you take people who are culturally sensitized to what the problem is, to meet those customer needs, you can much more quickly and more effectively meet those customers' needs through the through physical diversity of where the innovation is achieved.
How will borderless innovation impact the future?
Borderless innovation is a reality now, and in terms of impacting the future, I think that you, and once again, the experience of innovating close to the customer and closest to the customer need is actually about, certainly from my industry in global telecommunications, is about applying the right innovation in the right place. An innovation, for instance, that is extremely relevant in New York City turns out to be a doorstop in the plains of Africa. So you've got to innovate culturally and locally in order to be able to meet your customers' needs. So I think in the future, it's not an option. Anybody who is a global company is going to have to innovate in that dispersed way. I think there's one other aspect of this that we shouldn't forget, and that is the impact on borderless innovation of the increased cost of carbon at a global level. As the cost of carbon increases, the whole process of moving people and therefore moving experience turns out to be very much more expensive. And I'm not sure that we know how to resolve that yet, but it's a key question that the world is going to have to solve in the next 5 years.
Can you offer one or two examples that you've been involved in or observed that represent an effective implementation?
Yeah, I think in terms of the effective implementation of borderless innovation, as a global telecommunications business, we started out with the idea that we could innovate in Europe for solutions in Africa. And what we did was we handed out high value handsets to particular users in parts of Africa to get them to use our technology to collect information about epidemiological studies. It turned out that the value of the handset that we gave them was greater than their salaries, and they all lost the handsets. We had to replace them rather more frequently than we needed to. So by innovating in the wrong place, it cost us quite dear. However, what that led to was an innovation in the way in which people are paid. So we now hand the same handsets to the same people, but we use the handsets as a mechanism whereby people are paid. And curiously, they lose them a lot less.
How can senior decision makers avoid pitfalls while pursuing the opportunities available from borderless innovation?
There are so many pitfalls to avoid and so many opportunities that borderless innovation represents. So in terms of guidance to senior decision makers, I think that the recognition of the fact that the best innovation turns out to be serendipitous or luck, but as with all luck. Some people seem to be more lucky than others because they make their own luck. And it's the leaders who actually drive the innovation outcomes, who focus on creating an innovation space and driving the business to innovate through measuring the outcomes of that innovation rather than the input, who very quickly discover that actually what you're driving is serendipity. And if you can drive serendipity, then you get much more innovation much more quickly. But it's about creating the space and about creating the objectives and not getting drawn into the process of innovation. And as managers, particularly senior managers and leaders in large businesses, we're excellent at process. That's how we succeed economically and more broadly in our markets. So trying to stay away from managing process, but focusing only on creating the space in which innovation can occur and driving those outcomes is I think, the real key here.
Communications technology has been one of the great enablers of borderless innovation.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Borderless anything.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to comment on that?
I think you're fundamentally correct. I mean, digital communications, data communications, but voice communications also has facilitated borderless innovation in so many different ways, and it has become a virtuous circle in that we can now innovate anywhere and everywhere and share the results of that innovation very quickly. We can celebrate the results of innovation. Back to my analogy of an innovation in New York City is a doorstop in the plains of Africa. We can learn that, and we can share the learnings that come from that. It doesn't mean that the innovation in New York City is not relevant in the plains of Africa, or indeed that an innovation in the plains of Africa is not relevant in New York City. What it means is that we've got the opportunity to very, very rapidly extract the learnings from both and apply them to, I don't know, the Greek islands where other issues and challenges are occurring. So you've got technological problems all over the world, but they're not the same. The technology of radio particularly is a very curious technology, and it's not one that actually experiences the same issues. Radio travels very well over water, it travels very badly through leaves. So come the fall, the radio technology in the east coast of the United States is suddenly much better than it is during the summer months. And you've got to manage that breathing of the reality of the world that you live in, and learning from the rocks of the mountains in Central Europe through the plains, through the water, through the leaves, and so on, and sharing that learning is about the serendipity I was talking about earlier, bringing those knowledges and experiences together and actually driving something out of that which makes the whole thing better for everybody.
Any additional thoughts or any questions I should have asked that I didn't?
That's a good one. In terms of questions that you didn't ask, I think the question that you didn't ask me, which I thought you would, is about perceived value of borderless innovation. The reason I think that many companies struggle with the idea of borderless innovation is because there is a much more complex cost environment that's associated with borderless innovation. And I think that whilst conceptually it's really quite important that borderless innovation takes place and the experience of getting it right is very good, actually the cost of getting it wrong, whilst it's about fast failure, the costs of getting it wrong are high because the cost of failure is high. So we're trying to create that perception of value for those who are allocating allocating costs and budgets, in order that they will continue to fund what looks to be a much more expensive process. Because at the bottom of it all is people, and people have to travel. If you try to do borderless innovation without travelling your people, it will fail.